Hello, February 28th, and welcome to episode 240 of Fault Lines, the National Security Institute's podcast that gets you quickly up to speed 3 times a week on the national security and foreign policy debates shaking up America. I'm Jessica Jones, and I'm joined today by Les Munson and Morgan Vignett and Amy Mitchell. Okay, everyone, it's a fun Friday. I've declared it. It's been a long week. And you know why it's a fun week? Because the White House has been busy hosting a bunch of folks. It's been a full house at the White House. We had our French President Emmanuel Macron was in the Oval Office on Monday. We had UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer in the White House yesterday. Both our UK and French friends were emphasizing that Europe basically, and for this purposes, I'm counting the UK as part of Europe. Sorry, UK. I know you voted to leave, but they've been emphasizing that Europe still needs the United States, especially in the face of Russian aggression. I'd like to point out, though, when the UK Prime Minister commented that after the war, they might have British troops on the ground to support a deal. When President Trump was asked if the US would come to Britain's aid if British troops were attacked by Russia, he said, I've always been fond of the Brits. They don't need much help, and they can take care of themselves. So there might be a little bit of a split there in our friendships. And of course, our favorite friend, Ukrainian Vladimir Zelenskyy, is in town to sign a proposed agreement enabling the U.S. to access revenue from Ukraine's wealth of critical minerals. And that is happening today, friends, on this Fun Friday. So my first question goes to, what can we expect from Zelenskyy's visit? Yesterday, when he was asked if he still believes Zelenskyy was a dictator, Trump responded, "Did I say that? I can't believe that I said that." So who my fun colleagues would like to take first? Les, what do you think is going to happen today?
Well, I think it's going to be very friendly, and it's because Zelenskyy has said he will sign this deal for minerals, which will have probably no actual details in it. There'll be no U.S. commitment for security guarantees of any kind for Ukraine, but there probably also won't be any real legalistically binding commitments for Ukraine to actually do anything a few years from now, when we're in a place where we could actually exploit some sort of mineral deal with Ukraine. So the point here is not what the details are. The point here is that Vladimir Zelenskyy has had the wisdom to do the head fake necessary to buy into the Trump scheme for negotiations, which is what he's wanted the whole time. Call it a win, call it whatever you will, call it, pro wrestling. But Zelenskyy is like, okay, I'll play the game you want to play. I'll say I'm going to agree to this deal, which isn't even really a deal. And we can then get to the business of having a ceasefire and some sort of settlement of this war.
Okay, Morgan and Amy, is this really not a deal? There's not, there hasn't been discussion, or we haven't seen anything about U.S. security agreements. One, what are our other non-Ukrainian European friends going to make of any kind of deal where there is no U.S. security guarantee? And two, is Zelenskyy playing the game? Morgan, I'll turn to you first.
Sure. So bottom line, whether or not this deal is actually substantive in form, both parties need to walk away saying, we made a deal, right? Trump needs to say, hey, listen, we're going to get critical minerals from Ukraine. We're going to pay the American people back. He wants that political win, right? Zelenskyy, whether or not he gets security guarantees from the United States, wants to be able to say and demonstrate, hey, we're moving in the right direction. If both parties walk away from this saying that, no deals made, if this blows up, it's bad for both sides. I will note that earlier this week, the United States did vote with Russia on a UN General Assembly resolution, as well as a UN Security Council resolution, specifically on Ukraine. In my mind, it was a really terrible move. I think folks in the administration would say, oh, well, UN General Assembly resolutions, non-binding, UN Security Council, hey, who takes the Security Council seriously anymore? Well, let's put it this way. That means that every single resolution that we have voted in favor of when it comes to and in support of Israel meant nothing. So let's be really serious about this. The United States has demonstrated some concerning moves when it comes to placating Russia in order to find some sort of deal or ceasefire. But quite frankly, it seems a little bit too comfortable, that relationship between Washington and Moscow right now. the United States really needs to sort of look critically at what's at stake here for Ukraine and the rest of Europe, and really make a serious move here to find a resolution to the conflict in a way that benefits Ukrainian sovereignty.
Amy, what do you make of all of the heads of states visits this week? How do you think today is going to turn out? What announcement might we see from the White House later today?
I agree with Morgan that I think, this is a non-deal to make an announcement that we have a ceasefire. How long that ceasefire actually lasts is anyone's guess, but it's a political move. We've seen this before. We were going to mine in Afghanistan, grab all those rare earths. Never happened after 20 years. And
you can see this team. There's less laughing in the background.
And, you also have, you've got all the landmines that were planted by Russia that will make it 100 times harder. We have economic ties in, dozens of countries around the world. That does not mean that if those countries were attacked, we would go and support them from a security standpoint. So I think that this is an empty deal. And these aren't even minerals that we necessarily need. It's not like the list that we need for our defense industry. So, I think Zelenskyy, to Morgan's point, is playing the game. I don't think he's happy to be playing the game. And I think we're going to see that on his face today. And he's been left out of this entire process. And I think Putin's sitting there pretty right now going, all right, I just wait.
So you're saying Putin probably had the funnest week of all of them right now?
Absolutely. And
that's always a good sign. Oh, goodness. That's a wrap. Thank you for joining us on this fun Friday. Thanks to the entire NSI team, Kelly Crowley, Claude Jennings, and everyone in their help in producing today's episode. Join us again on Monday. Let's see how the world has changed by then, March 3rd, for another episode of Fault Lines, the National Security Institute's podcast that gets you smart fast on the national security and foreign policy debates shaping up America. We're on YouTube. Check us out there. And if you like what you heard or saw, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.